Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first deep dive here on Cypherpunk Scribes. Now then, I do still want to do some political stuff here in the future, but the original reason I made this channel was because of all the cool mysteries out there on the internet. And the name was inspired by, well, the cypherpunk movement that happened back in the day. And while we do plan on... Here, hang on, let me turn this down just a little bit here. There we go. Anyway, while we do plan on doing some more in the future in way of some of the mysteries that are out there on the internet, I figure this is a good place to start. To basically start with my favorite of internet mysteries. And I have a theory on this whole thing that is Cicada 3301 that I haven't seen anyone throw out there. In a way, it's a very basic theory. It's not anything crazy, like I'm not going to be predicting the CIA or MI5. I'm not even predicting that Cicada was a cult. So, when I was first going to do this, I thought I would break down the whole thing step for step, what happened during the puzzles. But then I realized there's already people who've done that out there in a more entertaining fashion than I have done. So I basically just decided to come out here and tell my own story with the puzzles, how I got into it, where this journey led me on a personal level, and eventually tell you what my theory on what the puzzles were all about was. And once again, I highly encourage anyone who watches this to stay tuned, because I do have... I don't know, it's an interesting theory that I've had. I've gone through forums, Reddit, like all sorts of places, and I put this theory out there, and I haven't really seen anyone who's thought similarly, or it's just a theory that hasn't really gained much traction. I guess I've never really got much of a response except for one person who was a key candidate who I thought might know something about Cicada, but I've since then lost contact with that anon. So unfortunately, I can't ask that person anymore. But I'll talk about my own story with it. And so our story starts off, at least for me, in here. Let me have a little bit of an epic intro there with a Cato Rock song, one of the songs that was a part of the. Well, we'll get to there where these songs came from, because the songs I was just playing, they didn't come from the Cicada 3301 puzzle. They came from another thing that happened later on. So we're going to flash back to 2012. I was in, I want to say, I was in the 10th or 11th grade in high school, and I went to a private school where we had laptops that, belonged to the school, but, we'd still do our own shit on them. And while in school, all the main websites were blocked except for two. So, like Facebook, Twitter, all the ones you would want to go on, those were all blocked. But there were two websites that weren't blocked: Reddit and 4chan. So those kind of became the websites that a lot of people in the school would use, because my friend who was doing like an intern thing before college with the tech people at school, he told me that basically they could block individual subreddits, but not Reddit as a whole. And as he put it, he knew how to block Reddit as a whole, but he didn't want to be known as the asshole who got Reddit blocked for everyone else. So props to that guy. Thank you for being based. But 4chan they couldn't block. And, I would go on Reddit, but there was a buddy of mine who, for his own privacy, I'll just call him an anon. I was in history class that day, and it was before class had really started. We were just kind of hanging out for a few minutes before the teacher really got the show on the road. And my friend kind of was like, hey, come check this out. And he shows me on 4chan. And it was that message which I now have on the screen here. Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image. Find it, and it will lead you on the road to finding us. We look forward to meeting the few that will make it all the way through. Good luck, 3301. Now then, me and my friend, we didn't really do much with this. There were a lot of people who got into the puzzle and went out there and started like researching and going down the rabbit hole, so to speak. But we just kept to our own stuff, We didn't really have any reason to continue going. Even though it would have been cool to, it was not something that we were interested in. But we kind of kept up on the mystery, Like, as more and more things were heard, we sort of heard a little bit more about all this stuff. And as time went on, it kind of became more alluring to me to see what would happen. Now then, if you want to know about these puzzles and what the intricate details were for either of them, I highly recommend watching Lemino's video, Rainbot, and Nox Populi. Lemino gives a great basic overview of the whole thing. Rainbot, also, she gives a great overview, but also gives a complete translation and reading of the few pages that have been deciphered from the book that lay at the end of all these puzzles. And Nox Populi, someone who actually participated in the puzzles, gets very into detail, showing how each one of the puzzles was solved, or at least how him and others did it. So I could just spend the time explaining a lot of these, but honestly, those people did such a good job that I highly recommend going and just checking out their work, because I could not do justice to the great work that some of those other internet detectives have done. So we kept up with the whole thing. Eventually it kind of fell off my radar, and eventually the year 2017 came around. I was sort of aware of the fact come 2017. I wasn't having a very good year that year. There were a lot of very tragic things going on in my personal life, but that's neither here nor there. The puzzle that was there in front of me became a distraction. And I had known that the previous puzzle had ended with a book known as the Libre Primus. The Libre Primus was basically an encrypted book, which here, I might as well take it out. Let me see if I could at least... It's first major deep dive, so this is kind of fun. There we go. I guess I can't do that. I gotta figure out all these things. There we go. So let's move myself up a bit bigger there. There we go. So what I have here is the Libre Primus. I printed this out because I thought it was so interesting and it just looked so incredible that even though I haven't solved any of it and I only know the pages that have been deciphered, I couldn't help but want to dive a little bit deeper. And basically, the 2016 puzzles had ended with this book. Libre Primus is the way. It is the guide. All that jazz. And I got sucked up into another puzzle in 2017 that was claiming to be Cicada 3301. Lo and behold, I was not aware of the fact that one of the previous year's Twitter accounts that were used in the puzzle went live simply to tell people beware of false paths. And lo and behold, I went down that false path. And in all honesty, all thanks to the people who worked on that other puzzle. You gave me something to distract me from some very hard stuff in life. But at the same time, it was a very different thing. So when all of that was over, that whole puzzle thing reached its end, its conclusion, Libre Primus was still there, this encrypted book. And I kind of went back and looked at all the different ways, really went and dove into Nox Populai's videos and really delved into these previous year's puzzles, just to see what was a part of them. There were some interesting themes. It seemed to be very focused on art, philosophy, history, mathematics. It just seemed like something that the crazy artist in me could really appreciate and really dive into. Something different than what I was used to. Like, I've been working a lot in the political realm. If you saw my last video about Young Americans for Liberty Revolution, you know that I have a lot to do with the libertarian movement. But this was something that really helped, me get at my artistic itch. And so seeing how all these happened, there were a lot of other details that I looked into because I was curious. And eventually these puzzles would lead to real life locations where you would go to a real life location. Like at one point in the map puzzles, basically, they reviewed coordinates on a map, and it encouraged people to go to these coordinates, scan a QR code, and continue the puzzles from there. Now, then one thing that one of the people that I brought up previously mentioned was these QR codes were very close to airports. They were they weren't very, it definitely, if someone did have the time and the money, this all could have been just one person. And when I get to my theory here in a few minutes, you're going to know why I bring up that it could possibly be one person. So you basically had these puzzles and everything, and it was interesting going into all of these. And the few pages we do know from the Libre Primus here, I'll actually pull up some and read some here, even though, once again, Rainbot, if you go check out her video, she does do a phenomenal job. She actually has a great guy doing a creepy voice with the whole thing. But we really don't know much about these, but it's very Eastern philosophy influenced, very occult influenced, which the occult doesn't always have to equal wicked things. It could just be hidden knowledge as well. But the first thing that came in there, believe nothing in this book except for that which you know to be true. Know to be true. Test the knowledge, find your own truth, experience your death. Do not edit these pages in the book or a message contained within, either the words or their numbers, for all is sacred. And a lot of this stuff is just very Eastern philosophy influenced. And these are just the pages that we know. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because once again, this is not what I'm here to do. But I highly recommend looking into it, especially if you want to learn more about all this, because it really is fascinating. So basically, on that note, you're probably wondering what I could bring to the table, because there have been a lot of theories that have put out there about Cicada. Some people think that it was just an ARG. Other people think it was some kind of recruitment for some special forces thing. Some think it was recruitment for a cult. And hell, I saw one person out there say aliens. So there's a lot of interesting theories. And I don't know if mine is right, but frankly, I just wanted to use my amateur detective skills, my internet sleuth skills, to put something out there that some people have talked about, but no one has really put forward the same theory. And for me to talk about that, I do need to point out artists are crazy. I'm an artist. You know, there's a lot of nut jobs out there that will do crazy shit. Banksy, he, I don't know if you've ever seen the thing with Banksy when he went to the Gaza Strip and painted on that wall. That was nuts. Like there's people out there who artists are willing to go to no end to try and make a point or do something. So with that, I want to pull up this news story from quite a few years ago. Get this up here. So it was several years ago. Oh, if this thing wants to load. Is this thing really going to do that? There we go. It was several years ago that a German artist went out of his way to sneak onto the Brooklyn Bridge at night, take down the flags hanging on the bridge, and put up white flags. And when this happened, myself included, I remember everyone was coming out with these crazy theories as to what this could be. Some people said it was political. Some people said it was some kind of threat. Some people, there were people were putting out crazy theories. I myself even said it was something political, when later on I look back and I was like, wow, I was drawing conclusions when we just didn't know. People were trying to figure out what it was, but no one really knew. Come to find out, it was a crazy German artist who had snuck on the bridge to basically pay homage to the person who had created the bridge. If you to basically give you a little bit more details on all of this, basically when the Brooklyn Bridge was first opened several years ago, wow, this thing does not want us to be looking at this article. Apparently, ArtNet News doesn't. I don't know. I'm just gonna let it load and just leave it like that. I'm trying to get the picture open, but fuck it. Basically, the guy who had snuck onto the Brooklyn Bridge was doing this to pay homage to this great artist. I mean, the artist was trying to pay homage to the architect on the anniversary of when the bridge had originally been opened. And there it became very clear that that's what was going on. That this was more so someone paying homage to something greater, And a lot of artists love to do that sort of thing. They love to pay homage to those from the past who have come before them, to really let people know just why we should remember these great, great people and what they have done. So on that note, if those who are familiar with the YouTube channel Fright Night, who has done several Cicada 3301 videos, might remember he did a video about this painting, which you see right here, and how it could possibly be the thing that unlocks the meaning of the Libre Primus, the book that I had right here. And basically, to give a short summary on what he describes, those who are familiar with Leonardo da Vinci know that da Vinci hid a lot of things in his paintings. He hid a lot of things in his works. Da Vinci, in many ways, I guess you could say, was a cypherpunk. Okay, probably not, but you get what I'm saying. He hid things I think it's like a B7 or a 2-7 that you can find in the Mona Lisa's eye or something like that. With the Last Supper, if you take the bread and the hands of the disciples and line them up on a staff, and then play that backwards, you have a musical melody. Da Vinci was a genius in hiding things in paintings. Now then, here with the Salvator Mundi, this is one of his paintings that has never been deciphered. It is something that basically no one knows what could be hidden in it. And as Fright Night points out, certain pages of the Libre Primus line up perfectly with the Salvator Mundi. Specifically, one page in general in here, I found tends to line up with the stars in the universe which Jesus is holding in his hands there, or at least I perceive it to be the universe. So, my theory on this, just on who could be behind Cicada 3301 and this thing. Yes, it was an ARG, but it wasn't your typical ARG. My theory is some artist out there has found what the secret of the Liber Primus is. I mean, the secret of the Salvator Mundi. And instead of just revealing onto that to the world, that they have decided to basically create a series of intricate puzzles that create a grand illusion of something far greater, when in actuality it is just a great quest for knowledge and to learn basically the secrets of the universe. And with that, the grand finale would be what the secret of the Salvator Mundi is. And instead of revealing that onto the world, they basically decided to pay homage to the great Leonardo da Vinci, put it in these puzzles, and let those who can actually solve it reach the end. The best comparison to this I could think about is an episode of The Simpsons where Homer and Lisa eventually end up in a museum, and Homer knocks over this Egyptian egg artifact, to which the egg cracks open, revealing itself to be a musical box. And Lisa basically points out, we are the first people to listen to this in thousands of years, and we may be the last people to listen to it for another 1,000 years. And there's something to that. And part of me thinks that if this is the answer to who was behind this, that this is basically the point. Nobody, as far as I am aware, has ever made it to the final part of the Liber Primus, which supposedly features a dark web link, but I'm willing to wager that it probably has something to do with the hidden message that is the Salvator Mundi. Now then, an alternative part to this that I also realized came from the YouTuber Lestat, who has also done multiple Cicada 3301 videos. And with him, he supposedly interviewed someone who had something to do with building that website, which is at the end of the puzzles. With that person claimed that the person behind... We're dealing with a lot of anons here, I know. He claimed that the person behind this basically had a terminal illness, and the Liber Primus was made as a grand finale to the whole thing. So, on the other side, this could also have been a grand finale to something that was meant to go on longer, but the artist in question was forced to rush to a conclusion, thus having basically the cowboy riding off into the sunset as the curtain comes down. Now then, I cannot confirm either of these theories. The first one is a possibility. The second one is just a basically another detail that may or may not be true. After all, the person that Lestat had interviewed was anonymous, so I cannot confirm any of this myself. These are just my theories based on what evidence there is out there. I am inclined to believe that whoever was behind this basically was someone who was very artistic minded and wanted to pay homage to one of the greatest artists in history. Now then, I don't think this will be the end of me researching this. This is just a theory that I thought I would put out there into the ether because I've seen so many theories, but no one, there's sort of like that thing with Occam's razor. You have to think of what would be the most common sense thing instead of the outlandish. I'm inclined not to think that this is any sort of government agency because of the intricacy and how long these puzzles strung along for. These weren't like the hidden message billboard puzzles that Google and other companies had used in the past. If this was some sort of secret agent thing, then this it was strung out far longer than it needed to go. As far as a cult goes, I mean that there is somewhat of a possibility too, especially considered the runes and the encrypted book that is the Libre Primus. However, when you do delve into that book even more, you tend to find that a lot of it is Zen koans and other ideas that have already been presented. That intro that I read, "Believe nothing that you read in this book," that is almost entirely lifted from Aleister Crowley's Book of the Law. So if it is some sort of cult, they mainly are rooted in something that has already existed. As for aliens, I mean, I really don't know what else to say. If it is aliens, that would be fucking insane. Like that would be awesome. Like I have so many questions beyond the puzzle at that point. But anyways, those are just the theories that I have, and I would be very interested to hear what other people would have to say on the theory that I have just presented here. Do you guys think that this could be an artist paying homage to the great Leonardo da Vinci? I'm inclined to believe that. I don't know what other people would think, so that's one of the reasons why I decided to put this out here. I'm hoping to do more deep dives into internet mysteries and other mysteries on here in the future. Hell, I hope to maybe come back to Cicada 3301, and who knows, if this book is ever cracked in public and it isn't like Homer and Lisa, with the music box, I would love to come back here and report on what it is, whether I was right or wrong. So, in regards to that, let me know what you think. And for those who have stuck around and watched this, thank you. Thank you for hearing me out. And if there are any internet mysteries that you would like to see me dive into in the future, I would love to hear what you think would work, what cool ideas, there's a lot of them out there. The Tengri 137, the Red Triangle, John Teeter. I would love to do some more deep dives into all this stuff and see what else is out there. So, yeah. And for those of you who also know of some of our other work, check out the Real Swampcast, because later tonight we'll be going live for a watch-along with the Tim Pool episode coming up here. But anyways, in regards to the mysteries, maybe some mysteries are better not left unsolved. For all we know, this is just some stupid ARG. And if that is the case, then maybe it's best that the mystery remains, because the mystery has created, it has sparked enlightenment in a way. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. And for those who might stumble in here for the first time, I hope you'll stick around to see what I have in store for the future, because this is just the beginning. These deep dives, I've been wanting to do these more for quite a while now. And this was kind of hastily thrown together, but I figured I would start with my favorite of all the internet mysteries, Cicada 3301. And whoever is behind these puzzles, if you're still out there, you've created something very confounding. And it really is incredible to see just how it has echoed across the internet all these years. Anyways, I thank you all, and good night.